So in this video, I want to share with you a couple of things which medicine and healing can't really address. And these things which also tend to make medicine and healing and health and positive lifestyle changes actually impotent, and even worse, sometimes actually harmful. Meaning we're doing something which we fundamentally believe will be healthy for us or deliver us a positive result, but it actually keeps us stuck or even pushes us even further down the hole of disease or the hole of, suffering. And what I'm going to say is probably going to seem a little mean or make some people mad, but I don't care really. Because if those things occur, then it's also just validating and verifying that what I'm saying is actually true. So to get to the point finally is what I'm trying to say, and what we're going to talk about and explore and open up in this video is the basic orientation towards life, where you treat yourself as a child and as a dog. And I don't mean that in really like the positive, loving, warm, fuzzy, soft touch, gentle kind of way, but in a basic, like psychological and even fundamentally logical and behavioral, even spiritual type of way. What do I mean by that, and what does that all of these vague concepts really even mean? Well, within health and as it relates to diet and lifestyle, it's the whole mindset and belief of, well, these are the good things and these are the bad things, and now that I've been good for so long, I deserve to, have something bad. Or I've been bad, so now I have to do something good. And I can't tell you how many people have approached me for consults, how many times even in my own life, in my 20s, where I was just on that hamster wheel going back and forth, where, maybe I abused my body for a few days, and then all of a sudden I had the amazing idea, you know what, I just really need to do a juice cleanse. I just really need to take some detoxing supplements, as if that's gonna repair or remedy the fact that I just abused myself for so long. Another whole simple way of looking at it is, people eat chocolate or they eat sweets, not even really in touch with their actual appetite. And you don't have a real tangible appetite for this chocolate I'm about to eat, or I'm just saying, I've been a good boy, I get to eat chocolate, yay. Or it's some sort of ritual where I'm an adult, I can do whatever I want, so if I can have dessert, I'm gonna eat it, yay. And it's just triggering all of these childhood programs of, you were good, here's a reward, here's some sweets. Or when you train your dog, you say sit, and then you have a treat in front of them, and then they sit and they get all excited because they just did the good thing and they know they're about to get the treat. And then what happens? Boop, they get the treat, and then whoa, amazing. And now you have this form of control over them, to where after a while you don't even have to give them the treat, you just say the words in their mind or their behavior, whatever you want to call it. They do it and it's fine and it's done. No reward necessary. Now, might there be some correlations to that and how we are conditioned with religion, spirituality, education, and even our whole workplace, and even our relationship dynamics? And might these influence basically and fundamentally how we relate to ourselves, and also how we choose to think and behave? Because if you read most of the spiritual stuff that is out there on the market today, or that is at all popular or trending, or people are tweeting, sharing it, liking it, whatever, or even popular on spiritual news sites, which I won't name any by name, but it's, in my opinion, the most basic, asinine, drivel, stupidity that is masquerading as higher consciousness. And why I say all of those negative, mean words is not to be insulting or to be mean, but literally because those things are true if you are talking about higher consciousness in a logical context of like a child. Because you can't really explain things to children because their minds don't really understand. But we're adults, so we should maybe have some more ability to think outside of, well, if you just be good, then good things will happen. If you just be happy, then your life will be happy too. That's not really the case. Because what happens is we have people that operate at that level of logical functioning, emotional functioning, come across spiritual texts, whether it's law of attraction or the Kabbalion, which it's sort of pulled from, or Hermetics, or they go to Western or Eastern traditions, Buddhism, Taoism, whatever. They take this fragmented self and then take fragments of a fragmented worldview and then take that one fragment, talk about how it changed their life, and then put it out as if it's this whole system or this whole gospel or this whole new thing. When really it's just a fragment of a fragment taken out of a larger, bigger context. And when all of those things happen, it basically makes the thing fairly impotent and usually exaggerated or elevated to such a degree that it becomes useless and meaningless and something that people just sort of worship and salivate over rather than actually really get, digest, and move on. Which if in the actual system, going way back, which who knows if that's even possible anymore, that's probably what would have happened. It's just this bigger context. But really the problem, aside from those two things which I talked about already, which is, logically seeing things in a very childish, black and white, either or, good, bad kind of way, punishment, reward. I did my homework, so now I get to play. Or I went to work, now it's time to have fun. It's 9 to 5, but now I get to party. I get my 2 days on the weekend to be me and have fun. And the other side of treating yourself like a dog, like, yay, I was a good boy. I get to eat chocolate. I get to go out and get hammered, or I get to drink and abuse my body. I get to smoke a bunch of weed. I get to stay up all night watching porn, or whatever the fuck our particular indulgence is. Or I get to be an emotional slave to people around me because it gives me a vague sense of value and a vague sense of self-worth that I can't give myself outside of the context of which I'm being abused and taken advantage of by other people. Maybe that's our particular flavor. I don't know. How can I know these things? And then the third piece is, god damn it, I forgot. And the third real thing, which is probably the root of the other two things and probably where a lot of this stuff comes from, is a real fundamental lack of self-worth, of self-esteem, wherein we can't really hear anything outside of what we need to be validated or medicated or feel okay in some way. Meaning we're going to health, we're going to spirituality, we're going to our guru, we're going to all these things under the pretense, under the impression, under the umbrella of fill in the blank, healing, spirituality, enlightenment, higher consciousness, blah, 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 blah. But really what it comes down to is we're unaware of the emotionality that we're trying to medicate, the psychology that we're trying to medicate through those activities, which there's nothing wrong with that. Everything I'm saying in this video is not a put down. It's not saying it's bad. It's not saying it's good. I'm not having that moralistic Christian conversation. I'm having just a bigger, more explorative conversation outside of the context of good or bad, right or wrong, because that's stupid. There's really no good or bad, right or wrong to these things because ultimately we're all human. We have very similar experiences in life, and we all have experienced pain, we all have experienced trauma, we all have experienced suffering, and probably still are to this day. And that's pretty much verifiable across the board. So it's really not a conversation about that at all. But anyways, getting back to the point, is that so much of what's out there, so much of what is available is just trying to validate and medicate that. And it's basically saying, you know, I want to discover, I'm all about self-discovery as long as the self I'm discovering is the self that I already believe and know that I am. So again, just validate me. And what happens is this lack of self-worth or self-esteem kind of makes the whole process impotent from the beginning. And it creates the construct of, well, I'm just a, you know, lowly piece of crap, and I don't really value myself, and I don't love myself, and my parents abused me, or my brother abused me, or my grandparents abused me, or someone did me wrong, or the government's a piece of shit, or some story in which we are the victim and someone else is the villain, or something happened circumstantially, whatever. So we have that thing, but then on the other side we might say, well, the solution is I just need to love myself. I just need to take care of myself. I just need to be healthy. I just need to do all of the right things, and then I will be better. But that's still operating within the context of kind of the child saying, oh, this is good and this is bad, and if I just do the good, then everything will be good. Which there is an element of truth there, because yeah, if you know, stay up all night, party, do cocaine, drink alcohol, have unprotected sex with strangers, yeah, healing might not happen within those within that circumstance. But at the same time, we don't know for sure that it wouldn't if that is our natural appetite anyways, because sometimes we're all so dense and so stupid that we don't really we're unable to grow or see something until it's this huge. Which I mean, I've personally repeated so many mistakes in my life and taken it to that degree, so I know what it's like, and some of us just have to do that for a while, and then eventually we can start to not do it that much and see it in the smaller term, maybe. But this fundamental lack of worth and esteem really enables us to not be challenged. You know, we don't grow because we stay within this little box that we've kind of domesticated ourselves into and allow ourselves to be domesticated into, just like we're a dog. And now we're not just a dog, but we're a scared, wounded dog. Or on the flip side, which is what I was trying to say just earlier, is we become an elevated, exaggerated, insecure, wounded dog. You know, instead of being about, well, I'm gonna have low self-esteem, now I'm all about self-love. And I love myself, and I take care of myself, and self-care Saturdays, and blah, 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 blah. We get all on that thing, realizing that we're failing to realize that they're both wrong. Whether we believe that we are, you know, below everyone else, or we believe that we're above everyone else, or we choose to validate that construct by faking humility, faking, oh, I don't really know, I'm just blah, blah, blah. Like, those are all wrong, because they're all operating within that original construct, which is causing us the problem in the first place. So how does it make sense to stay within that same realm, thinking that if we just rearrange it, we just turn it upside down, or if we just go from the other side, then that will be better? Because they're still validating each other. Because psychologically, when you feel the feeling of warm, you only know it in contrast with you subtly and subconsciously remembering cold. And those variables are all highly malleable, but we're just not aware of them most of the time. So long story short, the three things that I'm trying to talk about, which is probably pissing everyone off, making everyone mad, I'm a fucking asshole, and how dare I say these things, and what's wrong with me? I'm so mean, I'm so not compassionate. Whatever. But the beauty of it is this video is long enough that most people aren't going to get this far anyway, so I can pretty much say whatever I want because no one's going to fucking hear it. It's awesome. Yeah, so kind of treating yourself in this childish way, which shows up in spirituality with these generic bullshit that masquerades as insight and masquerades as consciousness in our modern world, which is really just fucking stupid slogans that can be commodified and like mass produced, just watered down. It's ironic. It's like I'm all about organic, pure, natural food and living, but psychologically, it's like the most generic, standardized, pasteurized, homogenized, factory farmed, monocrops, monoculture, genetically modified mindset. I'm just like, these things don't really go together, but they actually kind of do, because to be too idealistic in our thinking, to be too obsessed about purity and the best and the right in our actions and in our thinking is a symptom and a cause of disease. So those two things do actually kind of go together, believe it or not, because, you know, if you're not hungry, probably not really that concerned about food, but the hungrier you get, the more concerned about food you probably get, which goes for many things. Second point is kind of treating yourself like a dog, operating out of this mindset of like just basic childish things. You know, rewarding yourself for being, I've been really good, I get to have this chocolate. Or, you know, I was so hungry, I just ate 3 pizzas. It's like, well, what is your actual appetite? Are you in touch with appetite and satisfaction? You know, at which point when you ate that whole container of ice cream, did you feel satisfied? At any point? Or, you know, maybe you did a 27-day juice, water, air, sunlight fast. At any point, did you feel actual legitimate appetite? Or was it just a battle of the will to prove and purify and get to a higher dimension and a higher vibration? And then the third is really what encases it is really the fundamental lack of esteem and self-worth, which keeps you from being challenged mentally, emotionally, psychologically, anything, because you operate within these very basic kind of generic constructs, which in some ways is not really your fault. It's not my fault because this is how the world is kind of constructed, because that is how capitalism works. Because that is the backbone of capitalism in our society is fear and lack of self-worth. So that's basically what I've described. Because on the first 2 examples is based in fear, meaning I don't know, how am I going to figure it out? And then the third is just this self-worth is not there. So then you're predisposed to being a great lifetime consumer, which if you're of the mindset and belief system that maybe you don't want to do that, maybe you want to change the world, maybe you want to help create a different planet, a different consciousness on the planet, a different system, a different way of doing things, might it make sense to actually be able to step out of the whole thing instead of just operating inside of it under the guise of evolution, expansion, enlightenment, love, compassion, oneness, change, blah, blah, blah. Fill in the placard, fill in the slogan, fill in the talismanic term that you wish to salivate and project your libido onto. It's still the same construct. Anyways, I guess that's the end of the video. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.